Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and here we are today on a day which technically Celtic could be crowned Scottish Premiership champions for the third year in a row, but we're going to take our attention away from the football for a little bit, and we're going to talk about some transfer stories and some rumours that have been floating about the internet over the past couple of days. Some that might cheer you up, and some that might let you down. So, we're going to cover all emotions. Get ready for that. Hello, welcome back. If you haven't already, please be sure to go down below and hit like and subscribe. It'd be much appreciated as we enter the last week of the Scottish Premiership season. As we all know, we have Kilmarnock to play tomorrow night at Rugby Park, and then Saturday it is the final game of the season where Celtic will play St Mirren and hopefully hoist the league trophy high. It's an exciting week, and it brings to the end of a up and down season for Celtic, but thank you for the support throughout the entirety of it. We still have a wee bit to go, so if you want to keep yourself updated and just in the know, then, you know, hit like and subscribe. It'd be appreciated. So usually we would be spending our time today previewing tomorrow's match against Kilmarnock at Rugby Park, but we're going to put the brakes on that for a little bit. We're going to cover that game tomorrow. I'll do a live stream before the game previewing the match, talking about the lineup and such before our post-match reaction. Today there's a few stories out there that I want to try and cover in regards to transfer news. As we all know, when this season's over and done with on the 25th of May, whether we win the Scottish Cup or not, it's going to be transfer rumour central. There's going to be names thrown at the club left, right and centre. And we're going to have to try and sit down and discuss that. But just because that's on the 25th of May doesn't mean that doesn't start now. Because over the past 24 hours, there's been a lot of stories in regards to players who could be leaving Celtic, and also a couple of players who could be joining Celtic. So today in this bumper edition of Celtic Transfer Talk, we're going to try and cover everything that's in the news. And as I said in the introduction, be prepared to go through it all, because there's some that will make you happy and some that will leave you quite sad. And you know what? Because I'm a sick and twisted human being, I'm going to start with the bad news. So let's go there, shall we? Matt O'Riley, as we all know, is probably at the very end of his Celtic career. Enjoy it while it lasts and savour his last few games, because there is pretty much a 100% guarantee, it feels like, that he won't be a Celtic player this season, next season. If anything, we have been incredibly fortunate and lucky to have him as a Celtic player for the entirety of this campaign. He was a man who was wanted in January by some big clubs, including Atletico Madrid of Spain and Inter Milan of Italy. But I don't think you can fight off that interest for a long time. Here was one of the headlines that came out of Denmark, his home country, of course, over the past 24 hours. Matt O'Riley in dialogue with England's top teams. The article goes on to say that according to Tipsbladet, who is the outlet in this occasion, Matt O'Riley's home team is currently in dialogue with two unnamed top six teams from England's top tier, the Premier League, about a possible transfer ahead of this summer's European Championship finals. In the past, Matt O'Riley has been a hot topic in Atletico Madrid, who had a bid rejected in January. Inter Milan have also been mentioned as a club with a keen eye for the Dane. So Matt O'Riley apparently now being looked at by the top six clubs in the English Premiership. Two unnamed top six clubs reportedly already starting dialogue with Celtic, if rumours are to be believed, from the homeland of the Great Dane. There's not much fighting off there, is there? So we've seen this coming. And I think it speaks to the quality of the player that Matt O'Riley is, that we're looking at potentially two of the biggest teams in the whole world looking at Matt O'Riley. As we all know, the big six in England and the English Premier League basically run the show nowadays. That's where the money is. That's where all the top stars go to play. And two of the top six looking at him is a pretty decent indictment of the quality that you've got in a player like Matt O'Riley and how highly rated he actually is. Just a reminder, Fabrizio Romano reported this in October of last year, that Celtic were in a strong position as they've just renewed his contract. It'd be a Scottish record transfer fee for any club interested. Fabrizio Romano went on after that tweet to report that Celtic wouldn't be looking to sell Matt O'Reilly unless it was for a Scottish transfer record, which is upwards of £25 million, as we all know. And if teams in the top 6 in England are getting involved here, this is where Celtic should be, and I know that there's limitations in what we can do as a club in Scotland. This is where Celtic should be saying to them, well, add another 20 million quid onto that, let's try and get as much money as we can here. If Matt O'Reilly is wanted by these clubs, we should be rinsing them for every last penny that they've got. This is somebody who just signed a new contract back at the start of the campaign. This is somebody who is not only Celtic's young players player, but also player of the year, and somebody who has ultimately been the best player in Scotland all season. His quality, his levels is above many of the players who have come before him in the past 5 or so years in this country. He is somebody who's going to walk into a team and ultimately be a cracking player for them. Whether that's Tottenham Hotspur, Liverpool, Aston Villa, Man United, Man City, whatever team it is that's interested in Matt O'Reilly down south, they're going to be picking up a player of significant quality, and they should be paying up for that. Theories are already flying around as to who the two clubs could be. Tottenham Hotspur seem to be people's favourite due to the fact, well, Ange Postecoglou is their manager. God knows, I can't offer any inside speculation on that. I'd actually be surprised if Tottenham Hotspur are one of the clubs interested in Matt O'Reilly, considering they've already got the likes of James Maddison around. Listen, whoever it is, the situation will remain the same for either of them. Even if it was the likes of Aston Villa, who are currently in that top 6 in England, these teams down south, they all have millions upon millions to spend and play with, and Celtic should know that when they go out and try and get something done here. £25 million is the absolute minimum I would expect for Matt O'Reilly. It's just a shame that we have to talk about him ultimately leaving the club, because we don't want to see him leave the club. We'd all love it if he stayed, but we've got to be realistic. He's given great service to Celtic Football Club. He's been here for, what, 2.5 years now, and he's been absolutely quality from the minute he came in the door. I don't want to see him go, but when you talk about Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, and the English top 6 coming in, you know, we can't limit his career to remaining here in Scotland. It's only right that we let him go to these attractive offers and really speak to these clubs. If anything, I think that Matt O'Reilly has been a constant professional. I don't know if you remember, but some of his comments back about a month ago, when he was asked about his future, he said that he'd even banned his family from asking him whether he wanted to move on or not. He's given nothing but 100% commitment to this club. He's never down tools. There's been little patches of form where he hasn't maybe been his best. There was a period in this season when we got out the January window and people speculated that maybe he'd given up and had his eyes already set in the move. But you just look at how impressive he's been over the past few weeks and how important he's been in this title charge and trying to help us secure our 3-in-a-row league titles. He's never down tools for us. He's been a constant professional. He's never really entertained the thought of moving. He's going at the right time, and he'll go with all the respect of the Celtic supporters. So absolutely fair play to him. It'll be a sad day when it does come. As always, if you want to remain updated with the Matt O'Reilly situation and which clubs that will be interested in him and bidding for him, then make sure to come around here every so often and you'll probably find out. Matt O'Reilly wasn't the only top player who has been in the news regarding a potential transfer away from the club over the past day or so. As reported by SBI Soccer and Larry Henry, Cameron Carter-Vickers has been drawing interest from Turkish Super League clubs. The article from SBI and Larry Henry says that Cameron Carter-Vickers has had a great season, which has led to several Turkish Super League clubs becoming interested in his services. He's drawing interest out of Turkey, but a source close to the player confirmed that Cameron Carter-Vickers remains happy with his current role at Celtic and with his contract set until May 2029. So a much better outcome from this story. There seems to be, by all accounts, from all the people now reporting on top of this, not only Larry Henry, it seems that Cameron Carter-Vickers has no intention. I believe one of the phrases that were actually used in the reporting of this story was Cameron Carter-Vickers has no intention of leaving Celtic Football Club this summer. He doesn't want to go. He's happy where he is. He's obviously got that new contract which still runs for another 4.5 years, I believe, or 5 years. He's happy to stay put where he is right now. He's comfortable at Celtic. I think Celtic have honoured that with the wages that he's getting in this new contract as well. He's obviously going to attract interest. He is that good a player. I'm not surprised to see him get linked with clubs, and Turkey are always one of those leagues that seem to have money to go and buy a couple of big players here every now and then. but I'm happy to hear that he's reportedly happy to stay. I think that's one to believe. I didn't expect Cameron Carter-Vickers to leave the club this summer. I don't think he will leave the club this summer. So it's always nice to have that bit of reassurance as well, to be kind of confident in one of your top players and somebody who's so vital to our back line. Wanting to stay is huge, because I think he's irreplaceable. I really do. I don't see how we replace Cameron Carter-Vickers instantly. That's something that needs to be done and studied and worked upon over a course of time, so that there's a seamless transition. He's not somebody I think you can gamble on bringing someone in and hoping for the best. He is the gel that holds the back line together. We've seen how difficult it's been when he's been out injured this season. So if he remains fit, he's a big player for us for years to come. So I'm happy he's willing to stay. Cameron Carter-Vickers, God bless you. Let's hope that story remains unchanged and you remain a Celtic player next season. So in terms of players who could be coming to Celtic and players that we're being linked to in the summer window, we have an update on the goalkeeper front. Now I will remind you very quickly, if you haven't seen it, I did a video a couple of weeks ago that was a list of all goalkeepers who've been linked with Celtic so far, and one of the goalkeepers that were in that video was Turkish goalkeeper Sakir from Trabzonspor, who was being linked with Celtic quite heavily, and reportedly Celtic actually made contact with the club. If you remember, there was a headline saying that Michael Nicholson himself was in touch with Trabzonspor about a potential transfer, but the Turkish club were demanding upwards of £12.5 million. However, there's been a new report out from Turkey over the past day or so that has said that Celtic may or may not have kind of reiterated their position, and there has been a definite offer made. So in an article released yesterday by Yunbakis in Turkey, this was the headline: Europe or Arabia, Sakir's new jersey will be announced. It remains unclear whether Trabzonspor's captain Ergürkan Sakir will leave at the end of the season. And then in that article there was a cheeky wee paragraph, a cheeky wee line, saying that it was stated that Scottish team Celtic came with a serious offer of €7.5 million, while French team Nantes and Italian giants Roma were on the list. Now, what I will say is, because I know people were going to be asking about this in the comments today, and it's why I bring it up, it is unclear if this is just a kind of extension of the original story that came out about a month or so ago. I think it was at the beginning of April it came out that Celtic were interested. There was an article that said that Celtic were willing to offer £7.5 million. However, it was never stated that Celtic actually had submitted that offer of £7.5 million. This article, though, by Yunbakis, if that is how it's pronounced, sorry, state that Celtic have actually made that serious offer with that amount of money. The Turkish club are believed to want £12.5 million, so obviously this is a significantly lower offer, £5 million less than the asking price of Trabzonspor. But if it's true and Celtic have made an offer, then there you go. Who knows? Could it be Ergürkan Sakir who becomes Celtic's #1 next year? I'd be very happy with it. I think this is an article that you have to take with a pinch of salt. So I wanted to bring this up today in case people ask about it, to see if there's any truth in this story. When it comes to all these foreign publications that none of us are really familiar with, you can only really take everything with a pinch of salt. It would be nice if Celtic are now being proactive and going for a keeper of such quality, but we'll need to wait for more for it to be believed. But talking about goalkeepers, the Daily Mail put up this article today saying that Celtic are considering a move now for Alex McCarthy of Southampton. Alex McCarthy is emerging as a summer option for the Scottish leaders, says the Daily Mail and Simon Jones, which is another one of the goalkeepers to be added to the list. It's a new name, a name we haven't heard thus far, and a name that I'm assuming most of us are familiar with through his time with many Premier League clubs. The article goes on to say that Alex McCarthy is emerging as a summer option for Premiership leaders Celtic as well as Liverpool and Newcastle United. Celtic are on the lookout with Joe Hart retiring. Brendan Rodgers wants a keeper who's good with his feet, and he's looked at signing McCarthy previously, apparently. So Celtic now considering Alex McCarthy. He's Southampton's #2 at the minute, but he has been playing in recent times due to the injury suffered by Gavin Bazzono. The Irish Republic, I was about to say Irish Republican, the Republic of Ireland #1. So Alex McCarthy is being considered apparently by Brendan Rodgers. Would he be coming in as a #2? That's the question. He has been getting used to life as a #2 for Southampton, and let's be real, Liverpool and Newcastle, who are also two clubs looking looking at him, would be bringing him in as a number 2 as well. So I think this is maybe a link with Celtic to bring in another, to bring him a backup. You know, we heard that story very recently about Liam Kelly from Motherwell. I think this is in similar vein to that. I doubt McCarthy would be coming in to be Celtic's number 1. Don't get me wrong, McCarthy a few years ago, when he was still playing week in, week out for Southampton, was a cracking keeper. He always has been a good keeper, Alex McCarthy, but he's not been playing a lot in the last 2 or 3 years as Gavin Bizono has came through for Southampton. But he had a very impressive performance in the Championship playoff match for Southampton at the weekend, as he's taken that place just now. His contract is up at the end of the season, which means it would be a free signing for Celtic. I must admit, as a backup on a free, he's somebody I'd probably see happily come in. I just don't trust that the board wouldn't bring him in as number 1. That's my final say on that. But Alex McCarthy, keep an eye on his name as well. So there you go, that's all the news for today in this bumper edition of Celtic Transfer Talk. As I said, some heartbreaking news in regards to Matt O'Riley potentially leaving the club very, very quickly, I think, when this transfer window opens and the season ends. But some positives in the sense that Cameron Carter-Vickers will be still at Celtic next season by the looks of things, and that we're getting a move on in the goalkeeper market as well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. We'll be back tomorrow to preview everything about Kilmarnock, so don't worry. But until then, take care, God bless, and I'll see you all next time.